Welcome to Fearless and Unfiltered. Real talk, real challenges, and real wisdom from two badass BFFs that aren't afraid to say it like it is.
We're here to share stories that inspire, lessons that empower, and a whole lot of laughs along the way.
Get ready to get fearless
Get unfiltered.
and get real with Carrie and Vicki.
What's up, beautiful people? Welcome back to Fearless and Unfiltered. Today, we are talking about my favorite subject.
Yes.
Vision. And how you can own the outcome. Basically thinking with the end in mind of what you would love to achieve in your life, in your health, in your business, in your wealth, in your love and relationships. We're going to dive right on in here.
Well, it's good because you can't get somewhere if you don't know where you're going. And so I think that that's really important message for all of you out there because we do find ourselves stuck. You hear a lot of people say, you know, I feel stuck where I'm at, and they just have this really ho-hum feeling. So, you know, today I think the message we're going to give to all y'all is to be fearless and unfiltered about learning how to dream and learning how to make that vision, because some of you might say, well, what do you want, Vic? I really don't freaking know. I've never given myself that much time. So I think this is going to be a great episode for the viewers to like really get some life nuggets here to help them get unstuck. So let's start with that.
I'm so happy and grateful to be here, you guys. Listen, I went to a Dream Builder Live event in Los Angeles, hosted by Mary Morrissey and the Brave Thinking Institute. And this was the book I had in 2019 when I went. And we had to create a vision, a 3-year vision of what we would love in the future. Okay. And we look at 4 areas of life. You have your health.
Yep.
You have your love and relationships. You have your vocation and your time and money freedom. So within those 4 key areas of life, we create results. So if you keep breathing another 365 days, you're going to create results in those 4 areas of your life.
Absolutely.
The question is, what would you love to create? And most people spend more time planning a week-long vacation than they actually do planning their life. And so this just boggles my mind. And so if you don't mind, I want to share my dream.
This is good.
From 2019 of my love and relationships.
Okay.
This is what I wrote, because back then, single mom. So if you guys don't know much about me, so I've raised my son on my own since he was born. And in 2019, he was like 11 or 12 years old. Anyway, and my longing and discontent was in the area of love and relationships.
Correct. Right. I would agree with that.
Yearning for a partner, someone who loved me, someone I could love and build a family with, because right now I'm 43 years old and I still have never been married. Okay, so
we're changing that soon, though.
We're changing that. So this was my vision. I would love to find my soulmate. I'm so happy and grateful to have married my best friend. The man who loves my son and makes him his own. The man who understands me and Kaysen. The man who intrigues me every day. He makes me laugh, he makes me smile, and he makes me a better person. I love our family we have together and can't believe I ever lived this life without him. He fills my soul every single day. And now I'll tell you something. I actually prayed for my soulmate, my spiritual partner, my best friend, before I knew him.
Mm-hmm.
I spoke this vision out loud every single day for 2 years before I met my now fiance, my best friend, my spiritual partner, my soulmate. So I say I manifested him.
Yes.
Because you can't get to your dream. You have to come from it. So if you want to manifest the love of your life, what does he look like? What do you guys do together? What would you love your relationship to look like? You have to create that crystal clear vision, because then that's how the law of attraction works. Then that's how you attract what it is you want.
Right. But I think one of the things that I picked out from that statement that your vision that you talked about, is you're actually talking about it as if it's already here. So it's like it is current existence-ness, not like what your real life is all about, but it's like what your real life is that you are truly wanting to vision.
You have to speak in the present tense. And that is, there's a system. Right. I teach my clients this. This is what I work on. I'm freaking like so excited about this.
Well, and then you make a comment about you got to get really crystal clear. And so maybe that is part of the unstuckingness, is that when you do like, well, what is the color of his eyes? Or what does your home look like? And what vacation are you guys going on? That helps people dream a little, because I think that's one of the misses that people have is they don't dream anymore.
Or, right, they don't give themselves permission to dream. Two, they don't get clarity is power. So when you put details to your dream, I'll tell you the science behind why this works, because we have what's called our reticular activating system, and it's in our brain stem. And your reticular activating system filters into your awareness what you're paying attention to.
Okay.
So if I'm going to say, I want to manifest the love of my life, and this is how he treats my son and I, and this is what we do. We like to work out. We like to, talk about energy and whatever. Or if you want to, manifest your dream home or your dream job, you have to speak it and be very specific about what does the house look like. You can't build a house without a blueprint.
True.
You can't build your dream without this blueprint either. So you have to get crystal clear on what it is. And the reason why is because then your reticular activating system filters through the billions of stimuli, notifications, everything we see on a daily basis. 99.9% of what we see is processed by our subconscious brain.
Okay.
So that means we're not even aware. So we will filter into our awareness what we pay attention to. So what we're thinking about, what we're focusing on, what we're talking about, we will then see through our conscious mind. It won't be filtered through our subconscious mind. So you basically train your brain to look for opportunities in your environment.
As you're stating that vision every single day, because then it's at the top of mind awareness.
Yeah, just like if you were to buy a new car.
Right, now you see it everywhere.
Yeah, or if I said, Vicki, find everything in the room that's red, and then I say, okay, what's blue? You wouldn't be able to tell me because you were focusing on red.
Very true. Very true. Well, I mean, I think that's good to understand, because like I think one of the things you just said there was you got to give yourself permission to dream.
And you had a hard time with this.
I did have a very hard time with this. Well, I lost somebody really special in my life, and I literally stopped dreaming. I don't know why. It just, for some reason, I could never dream again.
I didn't know that.
So like if somebody, dreaming not necessarily is when you're sleeping and you're having a dream. Dreaming is, what do I dream about when you're totally awake and conscious, And when you don't see that, it's really hard to give yourself permission to dream.
Right. So we would do, I did workshops. So I do what's called a vision workshop, and I actually have you power the dial 3 years into the future.
Yep.
And I have you step into a proverbial time machine. And then when you get out of the time machine, you're like, oh my God, I'm so happy and grateful. This is the life that I'm living.
Absolutely.
And you speak it out loud. But Vicki had a hard time doing that, because at that point in time in your life, you were recently going through a divorce.
Exactly. So you just feel you're stuck in survival mode. So when you're in survival mode, you can't, well, I'm not saying you can't, but when you're stuck in survival mode, it's very hard for you to move to the wow fantasy dream world, And when, people talk a lot to you, they're like, well, Carrie, why are you so darn positive? Why is everything wonderful? Because you are manifesting it.
I'm choosing.
Yes.
It's my responsibility, my ability to choose
Yes.
to focus on the positive and to try to attract abundance versus focusing on the negative and attracting negativity.
Which is funny is, so she did say I had a really interesting, tough time of dreaming. And I think one day I remember us laying literally on the grass or on the driveway, and I couldn't figure out what I wanted to dream about. And you made the question like, well, where do you want to go? I'm like, I want to travel. Well, where do you want to travel to? And literally I was like, something tropical, the Cayman Islands. I go, no, I want to go to Bahamas, And then 2 years later, I also meet a significant person in my life. And lo and behold, he hands me this envelope for my birthday, and it's a choice of 3 different islands. And guess what one of them was?
The Bahamas.
The Bahamas. So it is interesting how when you try to get unstuck, or you just like try to get that block out of your way, and then you do start thinking about, well, I would really like this, and I want this to be this way, and I'm going to travel this way, and this is who I'm going to go with. And
well, I think it's funny because back then when you had a difficult time putting clarity to the vision, you basically spoke about the kids. Okay, so like when you say I'm so happy and grateful, so you were talking about Reese, my son's doing this, my other son's doing this,
Yes.
and they're doing this, and everybody's great, and it's like no, Vicki, that's great. We want your kids to be doing good, but what would you love?
Yes.
And listeners, this is the most highly calibrated question that you can ask yourself. What would I love in my health?
What would I love? Say that to yourself.
What would I love in my relationships? Maybe you want to expand the relationship with your partner, or you want to find your soulmate. I mean, that is a huge chunk of our lives. And if you're not happy in your love and relationships, it's going to affect everything else, your health and your career. You could also say, what would I love in my career? Maybe you want to start your own business. Maybe you're checking your soul at the door when you're going to work, and you're like, I'm working 40 to 60 hours a week.
Making somebody else a millionaire. What am I going to do with my time? Right.
Amen. Now, why, if let's just say I would love to start my own business, or for my dream, it was I wanted to become a published author. And that was one of my dreams. I will start my own business and become a published author. Now, without that vision, would I have done the things that I have done? Probably not. So you have to start first with the thought, with the idea, because everything's created twice in the universe, Vicki.
Okay.
First in thought, then in form. Somebody first thought about this podcast studio before it became a podcast studio. Somebody first thought about developing a microphone before it was a microphone. So everything happens twice. So you have to allow yourself that opportunity to use your imagination, because imagination is more important than logic.
Absolutely.
Imagination can help you get anywhere.
Well, and I think I just want to review those 4 quadrants that you talk about, because maybe that'll help you all pinpoint where you want to start dreaming. What do I want to start making better, or make it the dream that I want it to be? But it was health and wellness, so your physical being.
And your mental health.
And your mental health. The other one was love and relationships. The other one is your job, so your vocation. What am I doing with my life? And then the last one is your time and money, like your freedom, right?
Your freedom, yeah. So do you have, more time than money, or more money than time, and you want to feel more balanced in that? But at the end of the day, we are going to create results in our life.
Whether you do it in a positive form or you do it in a negative form.
Yeah. And so we say, you can create your results by default, which is what you normally do. You just typically go through the motions. Like, I'll use my father, for example. He was a baker. My dad he would watch the lottery at 7 p.m. He'd go to bed. He'd wake up. He'd go to work at 4:30 in the morning. He'd come home from work at 2:30, take a nap, eat, and then eat dinner. Watch the lottery again, and go back to bed.
Yes.
And so for me, it was like, I watched this video when I was in Los Angeles at my training for life coaching, and they say, you can wake up in a box, you can eat your dinner out of a box, you can watch your box, you can drive to work in a box, and then you can die in a box. But at the end of the day, was that really what you called your life? What do you want your life to look like? And I'll tell you another thing. My father passed away unexpectedly when he was 60 years old to pneumonia, and that changed my life. It changed my entire outlook on life when I realized that just like that,
it could be gone.
It's gone. And what do you have to show for it? So if you are not living
the life that you want,
right, you can start today by starting with a vision of what you would love. Write it down. Okay.
It doesn't cost any money. It really doesn't.
Here, Vicki.
That was easy.
Here's the easy button, Vicki.
Okay.
So this is your magic wand. Imagine, you guys listening, you have a magic wand. You wave that magic wand, and in 3 years, you are living the life of your dreams. What does it look like?
It looks like a beach house that I can take my bike to go on a morning walk.
What does it feel like?
It feels amazing. It feels satisfying and rewarding. And my business is doing great. And my kids come to visit because they're so busy with their lives. So, okay, so
that was easy.
And so that's a great start, right? So just start with something. Get a journal, start writing it down, and when there's not enough details, ask yourself to go deeper.
Right.
So like I teach this to my clients is like play it like a movie screen in your mind. So when you wake up on a Wednesday, what are you doing? You know, like for me, my dream is to reach, teach, and transform 1 million lives. So I am speaking on stages across the country, across the world.
Right.
I get invited to speak in front of colleges and universities. I get invited to speak at great big leadership conferences, and I get paid to travel the world. How cool is that?
Your Wednesday looks pretty good, Carrie.
I love Wednesday. But then I get to work on my time. So, you know, life is short. I want to enjoy every ounce of my life. I don't want to spend it doing something that is not fulfilling to me.
So I think maybe that is another unstuck lesson is we feel like we have to do the same routine. We have to do the same sequence that we do every single day because this is what it takes to survive in our world. But I think that's the one thing that people don't understand is if you are yearning, if you are wanting more, that it truly is up to us to create it. And so, because like you said, where your attention goes, your energy flows. And so if your attention is always on, oh my God, I got to get dinner on the table. I got to get the kids a bath. I got to get to bed early because then I got to get to work.
Yep.
There's like no time for dreaming. You see that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So that is living life by default. So it's allowing your circumstances and conditions to dictate the quality of your life. You don't know how many people I talk to where I'll do a strategy session and, you know, I basically have a program that teaches you the exact science, the art and science behind getting the results that you would love.
Right.
This program has changed my life, has it not?
Absolutely, 100%.
I live and breathe the principles of this 12-week program that I take my clients through as a foundation. And so many people say, I just don't have the money. And it's like, if your car broke down tomorrow, would you have the money? Would you come up with the money?
You have to.
I'm pretty sure you would.
Yes.
But you can't come up with the money to learn a system to improve your results so that you can manifest anything you would love. Like, to me, that's just like, it's frustrating, but it is a mindset.
It is.
And so the only way you change your results in life is by shifting your way of thinking. And what we really focus on is, now I'll tell you, what the person who's living this life, let's just say they want to start their own business. All right. They're working a day job and they want to start their own business. They don't know how. And so they allow that not knowing how to hold them back from taking any action at all.
So what do you do about the how? Because that's the first thing that pops into your brain, Carrie.
You put the how on hold, sister.
Oh.
You don't have to know how
That was easy.
God or the universe is going to deliver this amazing vision to you. You don't
Right.
have to know how. The first step is to create it. Create a vision statement of what you would love and give yourself that permission to dream. Give yourself permission to think outside the box. Okay?
Right, because now you have the blueprint. Now you have that thing that you want to obtain too. So now when you do get a few extra minutes in your day, you can go back and read that. And then the next step is actually doing something to get you closer to that goal versus in the mundane you're in.
Right. So most people are out here flailing.
I don't want to flail.
I'm flailing around. I don't know what to do. I'm stuck and blah, blah, blah.
No flailing.
Okay. So we take away the flailing by creating that vision and getting crystal clear. And then what is one thing that you can do today that's going to move you a little bit closer to that vision? Just one thing. It could be a small action step. It could be make a phone call. It could be invest in this class or this program.
Right.
It could be, file my LLC with the state so that I can start my business,
Right.
purchase that website. Just those little baby steps. Those baby steps will help you get up Mount Everest.
Absolutely, they will. So action steps that you're talking about is like, now we've got my dream. Now I have time to do with it. And I think that give yourself permission to dream is hugely valid. And I hope everyone takes advice in that to dream in one of those quadrants that Carrie talked about.
Have you ever seen that little graphic where there's a digger and he's digging through dirt and he's digging to get to the diamonds, and the diamonds are at the very end, okay? And he's digging and he gives up right before he gets to the diamonds. There are so many people that give up on their dream right before they're about to have that amazing breakthrough.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, life is not easy, okay? We'll all agree. There are hills and valleys in this life. It is not easy. But isn't it so worthwhile to get to the end of life and say, I did this, this, and this. I had this much impact. I was able to do this for my children. You know,
or this for my community, or this for, you know, my family, whatever it is. No, that's huge.
Yeah. So if something is holding you back and your spirit is really saying, I want this, I'm yearning for this, but you don't know how, you don't need to know how.
Put it on hold.
You just take that first step. And it's amazing. Okay. All right. Let me share this with you. Let me share how God and the universe, whatever you believe in, there's a higher power out there. When you start to take those little baby steps, and when you define this dream and you devote some time and energy towards it, it is amazing how it happens. And every single time, so I'll just testify for my clients who have seen such amazing success from this program, you wouldn't even, you couldn't fathom how the results came to them.
Well, it's kind of like, again, it's where your energy goes, where your attention goes, your energy flows. And you've been planting these seeds for so long. And like you said, you're getting frustrated because your garden's still not coming up. But then when you are feeding into what is right, what is good, what God's purposes is for you, those things start to multiply. And then, oh my God, this person gives you a phone call, and then guess what? They're placing an order for whatever it is that your business is. And it truly does happen that way.
I just got an email today from a HR professional for a company in Charlotte, and they're asking me to speak at their mental health awareness event in May. And again, I've been planting those seeds for so long, and just voila, it pops up. So even in a business setting, so I do a lot of business consulting too. And when you go to a business, the business has to have a vision of where they want the business to go.
Right.
And they need to clearly communicate that to all of the employees, so the employees know, how am I having an impact on
that vision,
reaching this vision?
Mm-hmm.
And so many companies lack that clarity, and they lack communicating the proper vision to the employees of the organization.
Right.
So whether it's your personal life or your professional life, you have to have that vision of where you want to go. Otherwise, you're just creating your results by default.
Absolutely.
And we want to design a life, and we want to design a business.
That's a good word.
That really, brings you fulfillment, brings you prosperity, brings you impact.
Mm-hmm. Based on whatever it is that you want to pursue. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You don't need to be stuck in default, for sure. We got to put the how on hold. And if you can, Carrie, where can they get more information about learning how to get this vision in the crystal clear system?
Yeah, reach out. Our contact information is in the details. You can go to carrie-schmidt.com, shoot me a DM or an email, and I'll do a complimentary strategy session with you and identify where you are now, where you would love to be, and how we can bridge that gap way quicker.
Well, and she pulls the information out of you, because I have seen some of your clients, whether they're real estate agents. So even though they work under an umbrella, they're still entrepreneurs. There was someone that, let's say is a musician, but he really, really, really wants to train children on whatever it is, and so I think you don't have to be a person that hates your job and you're wanting to start your own company. That you can apply this to your job that you're in right now. And if it is fulfilling, if it's not, why isn't it? And then what do you dream that job looks like for you?
Yeah, even in my vision, I have something about vocation. I can homeschool my son to allow him the best education possible. I have the time to not rush, but enjoy and support my son so much more now. I have made over $1 million, and I am starting to fund support groups and services. So this was something that I wrote about my son, but it's funny because he did start homeschooling.
That is crazy. I'd like to read through that whole book one of these days.
Literally. I mean, you guys, if you dream it, it'll happen. You don't have to know how. I know 100% that this system works. And if you work it, it works. But you have to believe. And so a lot of people can't believe. So if you can't believe for yourself, you can borrow someone else's vision or success story or belief.
Okay.
So like,
go into that one a little bit more.
So, okay. So let's, I'll share a personal thing for me. So interesting how I'm always talking about vision. And, ironically, my physical, eyesight, I just learned that I have a, genetic eye disease.
Okay.
That affects my vision. And so I've been having these issues with my eyesight where I see these flashes of light and I've lost my peripheral vision. I've went to ophthalmologist, retinal specialist. I recently had cataract surgery done, like crazy that I'm dealing with this in my 40s. But I just found out that I have this eye disease that there is really no cure for. It's called retinitis pigmentosa, and it affects I don't know. Anyway, the retina in my eye. So I'm losing my peripheral vision. And so what's interesting is I apply this system to my own life. Okay. So what I was taught by my mentor, Mary Morrissey, is that you keep a corner of your mind open to a possibility.
Okay.
So for instance, my corner of my mind is open that I'm going to get to see my grandbabies when they're born.
Yep.
I'm going to get to hold them and look in their eyes and see their beautiful little nose and see what color their hair is. And I get to play with their feet, and I'm going to get to see their little toenails and their little fingernails. And I'm going to get to see the clothes that they wear. So I am keeping a corner of my mind open to the opportunity that I'm going to get to see. I'm not going to go blind. Okay.
Right.
That is not an option. Okay. So whether it is a health issue you might be struggling with, whether it is a relationship, career, whatever it is, you want to keep a corner of your mind open to the opportunity that you might find your soulmate, your spiritual partner, your best friend, and you might get married on the beach and take your honeymoon in Santorini, Greece. That was my vision, right? So you keep a corner of your mind open to these possibilities. And if you are unable, just say you can't do it. You are so stuck in a rut or depressed or just in this place where you can't even believe that something else might happen.
Right.
Use my belief, because I believe it'll happen for you. So you can borrow someone else's belief.
I like that.
And hold that open, because without that, you can't, there's something about the universe. You don't attract what you want. You attract who you are. So we're like little tuning forks. I'm a tuning fork in the universe. And so the energy that I vibrate, my vibrational frequency, is met.
Yep.
And I get back that which I give off. Right? So if I am thinking, I'm going to go blind. Oh God, here we go. I might as well chalk up the rest of my life.
Right.
I could have that mindset, but I choose not to.
Right.
You see, I know I'm going to see my grandbabies. I'm going to get to see them play football or be a cheerleader.
And you wrote a vision, in a sense, specifically for that. And it was crystal clear.
Yep.
And there were details given in it. And it really does, it almost gives you hope for that. So like you were talking about, you're supposed to keep a corner of belief open. Walking through life with hope is a hell of a lot better than walking through life being depressed or, the world's falling apart.
Yeah. Dr. Joe Dispenza, I followed him a lot, and he wrote a book called The Placebo Effect. And it is so true. Like if you, there's a story they share that if you're a basketball player, okay, they had two groups. They had basketball players who visualized making the basket, and then they had basketball players who tried to make the basket physically.
Okay.
But they didn't visualize it. So the ones who visualized it for a period of time before they tried to make the basket all had better results than the ones who did not visualize. And, famous athletes,
Tiger Woods is one of them.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, all of the, Jim Carrey, they all use this visualization. They understand these universal laws that have been passed down to us from ancient indigenous cultures, but we have lost it in the way our society operates, where they say, oh, this is woo-woo, or, bullshit. This shit is real. I'm telling you right
really
now. I'll
is.
teach you the science behind it. I wrote a book about it. You can get my book. I don't care. I'll talk about this all day long.
No, it's true. And, being your BFF, I can tell you that you truly did vision it all. So you said this is what you're going to do, and boom, holy cow, you did. You said you were going to meet your, soulmate, and he literally is everything that you just read in that article. And it's amazing how powerful your mind is. And, folks, you got to remember that you still have your mind. And so you still have this tool. And so you still have this ability. And, you only get this one life to live. So why not start living it powerfully?
And live it by design. Design the life that you would love.
Not default.
Because I'll tell you, the love of my life. It's funny because when my mom and I moved from Pennsylvania to the Carolinas, 11 years ago now, her first friend she met was my fiance's mother. Okay?
Okay.
And guys, you want to know my first friend that I met? It was Vicki. So, I also believe everything happens for a reason. And until you get there, life will keep kind of giving you those bumpy roads until you get to the one you're supposed to take.
Right, absolutely.
So if you keep getting bumped off the road, arrested,
slow down, pause,
brokenhearted, whatever it might be, you're on the wrong road. So anyway, here's the thing. When I started to love myself and I started to pour into me and focus on me, that is when my soulmate showed up on my front doorstep. So my mother asked her friend whose son did construction. I wanted to get skylights installed in my living room. Okay. And
he came over and gave her a quote, just so you know.
So she said, oh, that's Tyson. I'm like, well, what? I mean, whatever. Go ahead. You can have him come over. So he comes over to give me a quote on my skylights, and I'm showing him around, and I'm like, oh my God, he is hot.
You had no intentions of finding him attractive. You just wanted the quote on your skylights.
Yeah, I had. And so I'm like, okay, well, you want to go sit down? So me, him, and my mom sat at my kitchen table, and we talked for a little bit. And then I said, all right, Mom, I think it's time for you to leave. Bye-bye. And so him and I fell in love with him that night. I said, you want to go on the front porch and, hang outside and talk some more? And when he left, I'll never forget, I called my best friend Vicki, and I said, Vicki, I'm schmitten. Schmitten like a kitten. Schmitten was schmitten. And so, we are engaged. We're planning our wedding on the beach at Bald Head Island,
nice.
North Carolina next year. And life is good. And I can't believe I ever lived without him. He is the love of my life.
And it all started with the vision.
And
an investment in you.
Yes, that's right.
So that's one of the things that, as we kind of wrap up here, just the action steps that we want you to take. We want you to take these little life nuggets because it really, truly will make a difference in your world. Right?
Absolutely.
So give yourself permission to dream. Do it. It'll be worth it to you in a gazillion things. Your what would Jesus do, but what
would you love?
What would you love?
So instead of what would Jesus do, what would you love? So write that out without limitations. Take all of the conditions and limitations of your own mind and put it aside. Get this easy button or the magic wand and just answer that question. What would I really love?
In detail.
Focus on your feelings. So you want to, when you speak it, you do it in the present tense and you put feelings to it, because the primary law of the universe is actually the law of vibration.
Emotions.
Everything is vibrating at a certain frequency. Emotions are simply energy in motion, or they could become stuck. We don't want stuck energy.
No.
We want to move that
We do.
energy.
And I do like that. You gotta think of it as it's already in existence.
Yeah, own the outcome. Picture it, play it like a movie on your mind. Like you're waking up on a Wednesday and this is the life that I'm living. These are the people I surround myself with. This is the impact I'm making in the world. This is what my business is doing, achieving,
Right. And then I like this one. You can start small. Like small as like picking up the piece of paper and going and getting your journal and actually writing this. But start now.
And dream big.
Ooh, and dream big.
Yeah.
I like it. That's so true. So true. So own that outcome, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys got a little bit of life nugget out of there. I hope you're inspired to start dreaming. And I hope you're fearless whenever you do it. So we really enjoyed it. If you like this episode, what are they supposed to do?
Smash that subscribe button and make sure you share it with a friend, because everybody needs to get this permission to dream.
Absolutely.
Everybody needs this information. So please share it with a friend and stay tuned for the next episode, because we have a really good one for you. And we'll see you on the other side. Thanks for hanging out with us on Fearless and Unfiltered. If you laughed, learned, or loved it, smash that subscribe button. Share this episode with a friend and be sure to join us for the next real, raw, and fearless conversation.
Remember, life's too short to play small, so stay fearless, stay unfiltered, and keep showing up with your badass self.